Hello, everybody. We are back with episode 26 of Pints and Quarts, presented by Craft Beer Nation. Tonight on the show, we've got Lee Heidel and Raymond Gaddy from Brew Drink Run. So sit back, watch a show. Don't touch that mouse.
Time now for a look back at the last week in the craft beer industry. Pour a cold one and sit back for an all-new episode of Pints and Quarts, presented by Craft Beer Nation.
Okay, that is the intro music, and we are back here. We've got Lee Heidel and Raymond Gaddy, our guests tonight. They actually have their own podcast, one I've appreciated in the car. They run about an hour to an hour and a half an episode. They come out every couple of weeks. I enjoy the information, all except the running. I enjoy the information of the running, but I can't appreciate it fully as I'm not quite the physique for running, but maybe some of our other members will hear tonight. Before we get to the guests, we've got Randy, Lola, Doug just joined, Gil and Charles and myself, Matt Miller. So let's get right to it, guys. Tell us a little bit about your podcast, how you got the idea, and when you started.
Well, Brew Drink Run started a couple of years ago now, and it really kind of formed because we were realizing that we had these different friends in different circles of our lives, and they were overlapping in weird ways, and we kind of decided to come together and combine those different interests into a website, and that's how brewdrinkrun.com came about. And we enjoyed writing about homebrewing, about different beer that we tried, and of course about running as well. And we decided to, instead of just getting together online to share these articles, we would actually just get together in person and record a podcast as well. And so that's where the podcast came about. It's great, and it's really easy for us because we all actually live in the same town. We're based in Savannah, Georgia. We don't have quite as interesting of a setup as you guys do. This is pretty fancy and high-tech with everybody up and down the East Coast like this. This is fantastic.
Yeah, it's not quite that fancy, but
we'll take it.
Yeah, we'll take it.
We're coordinated.
Yeah. So, I mean, a good bit of your show is about beer. You guys usually drink a beer during the episode because you're all sitting around. I imagine you do the recording right there in one of your houses?
Yeah, we do. As often as we can, we all get together in person to do it. Occasionally we have people call in if we all can't be in the same spot. But over the last couple dozen episodes at least, we've tried to have at least 3 of us in the same room to do the show. And that's a lot of fun. And the beers we pick, we try to be all over the place with it. We focus a little bit on Georgia and locals, I guess, because that's interesting for a lot of people who are outside of our area. But we really try to drink whatever we can get our hands on, and there's no shame in that.
The beer from your episode that got published yesterday was Mexican Cake. Was that yesterday's episode? Yeah, Mexican Cake, and then one of the barrel-aged versions. And I think everybody on this panel has had at least the base beer for that, and it definitely is a remarkable beer, and it was fun to listen to you guys talk about the variations, and one of you is not crazy about coconut. Was that you, Lee, that doesn't like coconut?
Yeah, I felt so guilty. I mean, how often am I going to have the chance to have double barrel-aged Mexican cake? Right. I'll tell you how many times. Once. And did I like it? No. No, I didn't like it. And I feel like a total jerk for saying that.
You probably didn't like the barley wine from Goose Island either, because that was all coconut to me, is how I got that one. But
the Bourbon County barley wine?
Yeah. To me, that had just a ton of coconut overtones.
Oh, I love that beer.
You're an enigma wrapped in a puzzle.
No, I'm just being difficult. I think that's what my friends would say. I'm just being difficult about the whole thing.
Well, that's cool. I mean, tell us, have you gotten any access? I mean, you've had some interview. Was it yesterday? I listened to a couple episodes right in a row. I believe it was the episode before where you had the movie producers on.
Yep. Yeah, Raymond, do you want to talk about that or some of the other guests?
No, you talk about them.
Okay, great. And so if you listen to our podcast, it's a lot like this. Hey, Raymond, why don't you tell me about? And Raymond's like, no, why don't you talk about it instead? So, yeah, we recently had some film producers on who are working on a craft beer documentary. We've also been lucky enough to have on Sam Calgione from Dogfish Head has been on, Greg Cook from Stone has been on, Dee Dee from Allagash has been on. So we've had a lot of luck and success getting people on the podcast. People are interested. People love to talk about the beer that they have, and we're happy to talk to them. As homebrewers, all of us on the show also homebrew. It's really great to have a chance to talk to people who are doing it for real and have turned those passions into their full-time jobs, and that's extremely inspiring to hear those people's stories.
Or maybe you should tell everybody where they can find your podcast, other than they just go iTunes and any podcatcher or.
Yeah, thanks, Gil. I appreciate that. Yes, you can go to brewdrinkrun.com to catch up on the archives, to read more about us and all of the stuff that we write on the website. And then you can also click on links there that will take you to iTunes and to Stitcher and to the direct feed if you're somebody who likes to roll your own podcasting client. We make it super easy for you, and we have been broadcasting or publishing an episode every other week, and starting with episode 51, which will be our next one, we're going to try to go weekly. We'll see how that's going to go.
It's hard work, trust me. This is episode 26 on the weekly setup, and it's daunting to keep it going. So, but it's so much fun to do. So you guys must have a blast doing it as well.
Well, our goal is to record our regular episode, like the last few have been, which is around an hour to an hour and a half, like you said. And then when we're done with that, we're going to record a mini episode. So we're already at least 2 bombers in at that point.
That makes it better.
Yeah.
For you anyways.
Yeah. And so you'll hear that one the next week. You'll hear the that final review as a short episode the following week.
Did you write reviews other than the podcast? Do you just like post on reviews, like drink something and you write about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Our buddy Keith, who is the 3rd full-timer on our podcast, he writes a beer review a day, and he is up close to day 1,000. I mean, it's over 900 at this point. 900 days in a row of a brand new beer review.
That's a commitment right there.
That's a lot of beer.
It is. Well, you know, Raymond is doing a run streak. Our friend Andrew is doing a run streak. Andrew just hit 1,000 days. Raymond just hit 400.
100.
And so Keith felt like he didn't really want to do a run streak, so he did a beer streak.
It's new beer a day for a whole year.
Yeah.
I've done a wake-up streak. That's about the most streak I've done.
There's a guy on
That's one you want to
Instagram
keep
that does
going.
that as well.
Yeah.
What's that, Doug?
There's a guy on Instagram that I think his name may be New Beer a Day or something, and I think he's in like the 800s or something. And he posts a picture of a new beer he drinks every day.
Yeah, that's 2 years, new beer a day.
Yeah, that's a big commitment. That's hard to shop
That's a
for
lot
that.
of money.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, Gil and I managed to do a beer for 31 days straight in October.
and it was
But that was
exhausting.
about it.
Well, it probably wouldn't have been as exhausting if you guys didn't do a pumpkin beer every single day.
That's too much talking.
Yeah.
As it is, I'm mad at Dunkin' Donuts for not switching out their coffees. I'm like, I'm tired of pumpkin coffee. I want something else.
Well,
I
we
want to see
would be on the Michelob Ultras by the end of it, and the Lime-A-Ritas and the strawberry Lime-A-Ritas. And no, he finished strong. He had all kind of barrel-aged things he had tucked away and was holding on to for those last few weeks. So jerk.
I saw he put a post. I don't know if it were you guys, if it was him that did a post on the Hardywood Farmhouse Saison, which was one of my favorite pumpkins this year, and he got it. Just, I mean, on my point of view, I think it was pretty right the way I got that beer.
Awesome.
Keith knows his beers. I read them every day just because he's the expert.
He should know after freaking 1,000 of them.
Except he can't remember them, though, right?
I've drunk 1,000 and I still don't know anything. So
Is that a new segment on your show, or just something you did once for fun? The spreadsheet, asking him about a beer he drank 3 years ago.
I think that's going to be a part of the new shorter episodes. Yeah, but we did debut it in episode 50, and he has a spreadsheet which he was kind enough to share with us, which has almost 2,000 beers on it, I think, that he has consumed just in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
It makes it sound like a lot, doesn't it? When I say it like that.
When you say it out loud.
Yeah, it seems really cool when I just think about it, but when I say it out loud, it starts to sound concerning. And so what we're doing in that segment is I'll pull up one of the reviews, I'll read the review, and we'll try to see if he can guess what beer that was. And this last one was a doozy. He did not like that beer, and it was a pretty funny review.
So do you guys run so that you can drink?
That's the line. Brew beer, drink beer, run it off.
Okay.
I have an idea for a podcast.
Oh yeah.
Drink, lay down on the couch.
That's me. Go to sleep. Wake up. Drink again.
I could do that every day. I could have a streak. I could have a heck of a streak.
Wait, you got to put pee in there somewhere. Drink, pee, lay down. Pee, lay down, pee, lay down.
So have you guys ascended to the level of like local celebrity yet? Like, do you go to I think it's New River or New Moon in Savannah?
Moon River.
Yeah, Moon River.
Do you go there and they're like, hey guys?
Well, it's nice because when you're in a town our size and you write about beer, the beer community is pretty small, and so they do get to know you, which is great because we're able to walk in and they're like, why did you say that about my beer? My beer's really good. And why did you say that online that my beer wasn't that good?
You say that to my face.
Yeah, we're really lucky in that we've got 3 production breweries and a brew pub now. So the local scene in the past year has really exploded. I mean, those 3 production breweries have been in the last 15, 16 months. So that's a big deal. The craft beer boom has really hit here hard. And so it's nice to have been, I guess, on the leading edge of that, starting our website just before those breweries started coming online, and so we got to meet them when they were first starting out and go do those interviews and talk to them when they were buying their equipment, when they're setting up their brewery, and when they were working on their recipes. So that's a lot of fun, and we kind of feel like in a way we've gotten to share in that, just come up with them and see how they do it. It's super inspiring.
So what are the 3 production breweries you have there? Well, the 2 outside of Moon River.
Well, Moon River is just a brew pub, so it's they only have beer there at the facility, and they also can send kegs around, but they have pretty limited distribution. The other ones we have are Southbound. Southbound has been here the longest. They're the ones who like 15, 16 months ago, maybe a little bit longer. There is Coastal Empire. Coastal Empire had been contract brewing for a little while, but they just moved all of their production in-house, including their new canning line. So they're actually producing and packaging here in Savannah as well. And our newest one is Service, and that's what we're drinking tonight. They just came out with an oyster stout. That's a draft release, but Raymond was kind enough to go and help out at the brewery on bottling day and come home with some bottles as well.
Nice.
So yeah, this is called Lincoln's Gift. It's an oyster stout with Bluffton oysters. So
Coastal Empire, do they brew the Tybee Island Blonde?
Yes.
Okay, I had that. It was actually pretty good beer. It's a nice summertime beer.
Right.
And they've won several. They've won a gold medal for their barrel-aged brown in the one of the World Cup, right? The World Cup. The World Brewers Cup, which is a really big deal. I mean, that's an international competition, people from all over, and to win in just the barrel-aged category. I mean, it was a very broad category, and for a barrel-aged brown to have won gold in that, it's pretty incredible. So we're super proud of those guys. They're doing some good stuff.
Have you guys reviewed anything from River Dog?
Yeah, love River Dog.
I love those guys too.
Go across the Savannah River and see them, and they have a great facility and have kind of changed directions about a year and a half ago with their brewmaster and everything, but they're continuing to put out really good stuff. We like what they do a lot, and it's a nice small facility. They do a great job.
They're supposed to be canning here pretty soon.
Oh, that's great news.
I think this month, or maybe next month.
Wow, I knew they had room in their space, but that's great to hear. I haven't followed up with them recently. We need to do that.
Let Randy from DC tell you what's going on in the brewery across the
that's his home turf. He knows.
Every time I go there, every time I go home, I make sure to stop in and see those people. Man, they're a fun group of people to be around. You know, they have a nice little tasting room. They're not shy about giving you a tour of their facility. They have a nice little their little barrel aging room. They got some good stuff going on in there too. So I really like those guys. We wrote a blog about them. Well, I wrote a blog on our website. There's a blog that I wrote about them.
There you go.
And we published it. You're welcome.
What website is that, Randy?
craftbeernation.org or craftbeernation.beer.
Thank you. I had to.
How far are you guys from Athens? Is that what territory?
Yeah, Athens is about 5 hours because there's no good way to get to Athens, unfortunately. So you have to kind of take lesser highways. There's no interstate between the two. Yeah, so it's about 5 hours. Terrapin's there. Creature Comforts is in Athens. They're doing some really great stuff. They just opened up downtown. They've got a Berliner Weiss that's excellent, and they're doing some really interesting things with saisons and other good warm weather styles like that. And they've got a couple of others that are coming along. I think Southern Brewing. It has a really kind of generic name like that. And then, yeah, so there's a lot going on. Trapeze is a great beer bar there that's co-owned by one of the co-owners of Wild Heaven. So there's a lot of great beer stuff going on in Athens for sure.
I was just trying to find somebody who can stay in line for me when the Wake and Bake comes out. No, just kidding.
He needs a proxy.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait in line. You could get it at your bottle shop here. You can get it here. You just need to make a road trip. Wake and Bake, the regular Wake and Bake, you can actually get in the 4-packs pretty easily at package stores. The French toasted version is out this year. They did the cinnamon rolled last year. This year's French toasted. French toasted was supposed to show up yesterday. Did it? Nope. So it went on trucks last week, so we are unfortunately at the end of their distribution pipeline for the state. So everything goes through Atlanta first.
Gil, you don't get Wake and Bake?
Oh, well,
not the specialers, not the special bombers.
As it comes, it goes. Like, you have to
yeah.
The day it comes out. So, you guys ever happened that you were running around and then you go by the brewery or pub and said, maybe I'll run back home holding a growler? Does that ever happen to you?
Well, one of the there are two comments we usually get when we are at an event. We tell people about what the website. They're like, "Brew, drink, run. I like 2 of those things," or "I like 1 of those things." And we
I
always
like running, and that's it.
Yeah, it's never that one. So we always,
the other 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
We'll take 1 in a pinch. And the other one is brew, drink, run. Do you have to do it in that order? And no, I don't recommend doing it in that order
You'll be
at all.
belching and vomiting.
They're 3 separate things. You don't have to do them in any set order.
I would say wait an hour or so after you run, because otherwise cramps. I know.
It's like swimming.
Hey, do you guys have any like favorite beer or favorite style of beer, like a post-run beer that's good for you, or it doesn't really matter?
Post-run beer.
I've heard that a beer after running is good for recovery.
It is. It's
science.
It's liquid bread.
So is it
carbs? You're carb loading.
A beer after running? Are you talking like drinking a Kolsch, or can I go get like a Bourbon County Stout after I run to help me recover?
Whatever you feel like you've earned, that's what you're going to drink.
This is the part of the show where we say we're not doctors. Don't listen to anything we say when it comes to your personal exercise.
What a dog's 13%.
Lee Heidel said I could do it. I mean, geez.
Well, one of the big cycling clubs here, they always do their Tuesday night beer run, beer ride, and it's usually about 15, 20-mile bike ride, and they always end up in a local bar afterwards.
Wonderful.
There actually has been a lot of science in studies that's come out in the last 2 years or so that go into great detail about the benefits of drinking a beer after the run, about recovery fuel and the electrolytes that are in it. It's all pseudoscience. But it makes it sound really good because we do get asked about it from time to time, and we can quote real studies from real universities that say, it's probably better than drinking water if you just have a little bit.
I wonder who's funding those research, though.
Yeah. Well, you've got your lawnmower beer, so what's your marathon beer,
This research brought to you by the Brewers Association.
Exactly.
Well, I tell you what, if you've run a marathon, then I think you're entitled to drink whatever you want. That Bourbon County is waiting for that specific
It's all
reason.
coming back up anyway. Drink it too fast, right?
Well, you're going to pass out, so you might as well pass out for a better reason than just pure exhaustion.
Exactly. They're just going to have to pour it down your throat.
Yeah.
But actually, for just we've done some group runs here in town, and we like to end those at one of the local pizza and beer spots. I'd love to get a saison, something a little peppery and lighter in body, something that is refreshing, but at the same time has a little bit more heat to it than a Kolsch or a pale ale or something like that. But I think that a lot of that always just goes back to your personal styles and your personal tolerances as well.
Yeah. Well, and that's what it always comes down to. So, drink what you like, and you can find a reason to drink it.
It might be a good idea to put some food in there somewhere too, maybe, so you're not all lightheaded and then drinking beer and like, woo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't comment on that. We're not food bloggers.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Hey, Lola, we're going to shift to the news here right now. Lee and Raymond, stick around and keep talking with us. Lola, are you ready to talk about Oklahoma craft beer laws?
Sure. Now, I can't believe this is a thing. Okay, y'all were talking about package stores. First of all, I'm so happy that you said the phrase package store because I say package store and everyone looks at me like I'm crazy and they don't know what I'm talking about. But I always called it package store. It's ABC. It's the, state liquor place. Anyways, so apparently in Oklahoma it's done a little differently. Apparently in Oklahoma, ABC stores cannot sell cheese or anything refrigerated, which is insane because at the ABC stores here, you always see cheese and all kinds of little snacks in the refrigerated section. But apparently they can't do that in Oklahoma. So there is a group called the Local, and that stands for the League of Oklahomans for Change in Alcohol Laws. That sounds so official. They want to change that. They want beer to be able to compete or be in the same league as wine, so that there's more enjoyment of beer and more awareness of the craft beer scene. So they're pushing for some laws. They're going to hire a lobbyist, they say. Nothing's happened yet, but they're putting this in motion.
So how does getting cheese into the ABC store help with beer sales? I missed the note there.
Well, go ahead, Lola.
Well, it's just it makes it a little bit more normalized because you can get the whole thing. If you're having a night, like say you're having a party at your house, you can go to ABC, get your beer, get your cheese, get your crackers, whatever, and that's all you need. Whereas I guess now you have to go to a grocery store and the liquor store.
So you can get your wine and your cheese in the same place, but not your beer and cheese? Is that how it works? Or?
I'm just reading one article.
Well, I know in South Carolina, Randy, right? Tell us about that, because there the liquor store has to be separate from the beer store.
Well, yeah. In South Carolina, like the liquor stores and the liquor store and the beer store are in the same building, but they share a common vestibule with an entrance into each side, right? So they can't occupy the same space. The article that Lola was talking about, I think part of one of the things that they were striving to try to get going was they want breweries to be able to sell all of their beer on premises. I think right now they're limited to how many taps of their own beer they can have, but they want to be able to serve their entire portfolio of beer, and they want the liquor stores.
That is part of it too, yeah.
Right, and they want the liquor stores to be able to sell things like cheeses and be able to sell like mixers for the liquor and things like that. So apparently liquor stores just straight sell liquor now. You can't buy Bloody Mary mix at the liquor store in Oklahoma.
They would not last long in Florida.
And things like that. So
I never understood the whole food and why there's this discrepancy with food and drinking. It seems
you want people to eat, right?
Well, yeah.
Sorry, Phil, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
And
that's all right.
No, you're fine. In many states, Lola, to your point, in many states, there's a requirement where if you're going to serve alcohol, then you have to serve food.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. You want people to eat so they can absorb the alcohol.
But I think we got to be mindful that a lot of these laws were created back when there was probably not a whole lot of logic, behind them. They were probably just the law.
Strange.
Yeah, the lawmakers at the time were probably getting kickbacks from the brewers, so they just basically did whatever they wanted because the craft beer industry at that time probably wasn't a big deal. So they were,
I would guess.
There's also a structure put in place where there's interests nowadays.
I lived in New Jersey for a little while in the late 90s, and there you cannot buy beer in a supermarket. But you can buy beer to go at the bar if they have a packaged good license, which makes no sense to me. They won't let you buy beer when you're sober shopping for food, but if you're out drinking, you can get that beer to go.
That
just
makes
totally
no
backwards.
sense.
They do that in Maryland now. Very few grocery stores in Maryland sell beer.
I
Well, I'm
Wegmans.
totally on board of keeping cheese in its own cheese store. I feel like cheese shouldn't be allowed anyplace else. So I'm with separating the cheese from everything. So that part I like. Now, the second part of that, which you mentioned, which is the breweries who are wanting to be able to sell their own product. I mean, that's something that Georgia is going through right now as well. And that's a big legislative issue in 2015 for the Craft Brewers Guild in the state, is to change the state law so that breweries can sell their own product at the brewery. Like in a lot of states, they're able to do tours and tastings, so you can come in, but they can't charge for that. It has to be free. They get around that by selling a tasting glass, so they're able to make a little bit of revenue off that. But they want people to be able to leave with a case or ideally even a growler while they're at the brewery.
Yeah.
That happens in, every state except for 4, I think. And so they're trying to work the change.
So that the brewery can sell you growlers, but they cannot sell you bottled or canned. If it's packaged, they can only sell you growlers.
Yeah. See, Stone Brewery should have told every East Coast state that we want to go to your state.
Yeah,
and then they would change their laws, get everybody on their toes.
Well, and there's lots of other breweries that'll be expanding in the next couple of years, so
True.
there's lots more money than Stone out there too.
They're all starting to come out east.
Yeah, I think
right.
states. It's simple. I mean, there's a lot of money being lost if you don't let these breweries sell their beer. I mean, they're leaving money on the table with no logic. Florida, for example, you can buy a quart, and you can buy a gallon, but you can't buy a half gallon. That makes absolutely no sense. They're leaving money on the table. These states are.
So I wonder how these are all the laws that are active on the ground, but how do they handle the laws when you're just flying over the state? I mean, if you're on a plane ride and you take off in D.C. and land in San Francisco, how do they determine where you're allowed to? What you're allowed
I
to
do
buy
know. Okay, I can actually speak a little bit to this because, as part of the book that I self-published, thank you very much. I actually researched this, and there is a part of the airspace that is not attached to the ground, like the actual government, state government or city government will have so many feet of airspace, and then above that it's just American airspace.
American Airlines up there. So Randy, what does that mean for Delta though?
Well, for Delta, they probably don't care. They serve anything because who's going to enforce it being sold over a state that they're not supposed to be drinking beer or whatever?
Oh, I didn't realize we were segueing. Sorry.
And that's what I was trying to do there, Lola. Nice way to recognize.
I didn't get your softball. I'm sorry. You need hardball with me.
So Delta's going to be serving craft beer. A few airlines have started doing that. I think Virgin Airline and I want to say it was Southwest. They started serving craft beer, but their selections are pretty limited. But Delta Airlines, I mean, I think they're going about it like they're swinging for the fences with this. So the beers that they're going to be selling, they're selling Ballast Point, Blue Point. They don't really count because they're sold out to.
That's crafty beer.
Brooklyn Brewery, Lagunitas, Newburyport Brewing out of Newburyport, Massachusetts, Sam Adams, Stone, Sweetwater. So I mean that is a really impressive lineup for an airline.
It's fun though that Lagunitas and Sweetwater, because Lagunitas is right under Sweetwater right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a great idea. Yeah, but at the end of the line, I'm definitely not picking my airline based on what kind of beer they sell.
Yeah. but I mean,
the price of airline tickets these days.
I wonder how much they're charging for the beer, right? That's what's
Yeah, they're probably $20 beers.
Are you telling me if they had KBS on one airline, you wouldn't lean towards that airline versus?
Probably not, because you know my feelings on KBS.
All right.
Well, relatively speaking, though, if you're used to flying, and your option is Heineken or Bud Light, and then all of a sudden you get on the plane and they got Stone and Lagunitas, you're gonna be like, what? Yeah, let me get 3 of those, please. You know what I mean? So, I mean that's but this article was written by this lady. She works for Time.com, and she seems to be she doesn't like the idea. She seems to be a little peeved at it because she thinks that like craft beer is gonna lose its hipster appeal, for lack of a better expression. Now, you know, when you talk about craft beer to somebody who's not necessarily a craft beer drinker, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I had that beer on the airplane." Like this, like Delta is lessening the importance of craft beer. But I don't know.
Yeah.
She. Thank you for the article.
I like.
But you need to get over
I
that
like
part.
Lagunitas before they were on the airline. Yeah.
You can untap while you're flying. Like,
Right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We knew them before they were cool.
All right, so we're gonna move on now, and we're gonna do. We usually have this review of the week, and I find a review that I think is interesting or funny, and if you haven't listened to Brew Drink Run yet, just go out right now and just binge listen to all 50 episodes. It would be 50 or 60 hours well spent. But my favorite bit of the show is when they do. You used to call it Beer Advocate Theater, didn't you? Did you get maybe a cease and desist on that?
I've been waiting for it from the bros, and that hasn't shown up yet. No. So I think that I wanted to be able to, should there be a good review someplace else, still be able to do the segment. So we have changed it to Beer Review Theater.
Beer Review Theater. All right. Well, we have a good friend of the show, Simon Martin, and he reviews a beer every day, like Keith does. But he does his on YouTube, and he does YouTube reviews. Yeah, and he's from Cardiff, Wales, and he is hysterical. And we've done some brewing projects with him, and we really love him. And this was Randy alluded to this on another show that we did last week, but a few weeks ago. But he did a review of Double Jack from Firestone Walker, and it's classic. It has all of the funny things this guy does every day in it. And we're gonna force Lee twist his arm really hard up behind his back in his shoulder blades there, make him he's going to be the drunk Welshman here for us, and he's going to read 2 paragraphs of Simon's direct quotes from Simon's thing. So here you go. Oh, I got the music here too. We're pro. Hang on, guys.
To beer or not to beer? It's time for Beer Review Theater.
All right. And now with that lead in, here is Lee Heidel.
Okay, so Cardiff, is this South Wales? I need to get this act. I need to.
It is. It's coastal. It's coastal South Wales.
Okay, so I'm a real student of these things. I need to make sure that it is as
where they
authentic
filmed
as possible.
Doctor Who.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking. I was like, this is Doctor Who and Torchwood.
I have not seen this review, and I hate that there is like a proof to compare what I'm about to do to. So I have not seen Simon actually or listened to Simon do this, so my apologies to him. My apologies to all Welshmen and women everywhere. It's a courtesy I don't give on our own show, but I'll give it on yours. It's company.
Oh, we love you, Simon.
Oh, man.
Wow! 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 Stone the crows!
That's not Welsh, I don't think.
Christ on a bicycle?
That's Australian.
Wow! And still it is pulling. It is one of those beers that almost makes your eyes water. It is so full on the flavor. You get a first hint of the malt when the beer touches your palate, and then it ramps up with the hops, and then it ramps up even more, and before you know it, after about 3 seconds, it's kind of in the sky with the hoppiness. It really is punching, and then it really keeps going even further. I am still breathing hops now as I am speaking to you. Wow. Wow. Wow, wow. That is so bitter. And there it is. There it is. It is a 3 to 4 second delay on this one. You kind of, oh, this is good. And then you go, oh, my word. It's amazing. It's fabulous. Loads of grapefruit, loads of mango, loads of kiwi fruit, loads of everything. It is a tropical fruit beer in a glass.
And that, folks.
That may be one of the greatest things I've ever heard.
Now, what's going to be great is Lee is going to go sit in a room quietly and feel the shame when he actually watches.
See, with Welsh, I've watched Doctor Who enough. With Welsh, you have to do like close your vowels.
He was all over the British Isles with that accent, and I have tears coming down the side of my face right now. That was.
I don't strive for accuracy.
Well, then you did a great job.
We'll give you contact.
I love when he says "stone the crows."
Stand the crows. It sounds like Monty Python.
Well,
Stand
credit
the
for this should go
crows.
to
Right,
Simon
right.
for actually saying these things in the first place. This is fantastic.
Yeah, and anybody when you guys watch that, you'll have a few hours of watching his reviews too.
So now we need Christopher Walken to read all of Simon Martin's reviews.
Stone the crows.
He is
Stone.
compare all the video reviews. He is the mark there, you know.
Yeah.
So,
We knew him before he was famous. That video only had like 1,000 views, but something else had like 25,000 views. The people are going
The
like crazy.
enthusiasm he has is just priceless.
Yeah.
His review on 6 Point Resin was incredible. It was pure entertainment. Pure entertainment.
All right, I'm going to ask, what are we talking about now?
We're done with that. We're done with that. We're gonna do beer releases. Hardywood Park on Saturday morning is releasing their gingerbread stout. They've infused it with coffee. They're calling it Christmas Morning. That's coming. Yeah, I said Saturday morning, but it's actually 2 o'clock on Saturday. A friend of mine's going to get in line at 8 in the morning. He says it's apparently a very small quantity release.
I'm trying to get my wife's friend there for me to get some as well.
Can you go stand in line for 6 hours to get me that beer, please? New Belgium has got Portage coming out. It's a porter brewed with coffee, chocolate almond. That's coming out at the end of December. St. Boniface in Ephrata, Pennsylvania has got Libation IPA and Paideia Pale Ale. It's they've actually just installed a canning line, and they're selling their first beers off that canning line this week. I've had their black currant stout, and I drank a growler of it. It was so good. Modern Times has got Sleepless City. It's a brown ale brewed with coffee. There's a lot of coffee beers out this time of year. Prairie Artisan has got their Apple Brandy Noir. It's an imperial aged stout in brandy barrels. That's a big beer. That's 12%. Pipeworks has got Just Drink It Dummy IPA. That was fun to say. IPA coming out. It's a Sriracha Ace IPA. Deschutes, which is just now here in the D.C. area too. Randy, you got it there, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're just near in Virginia. They've got the Dissident. The 2014 Reserve is a Flanders style sour with tart cherries and Brett. That sounds pretty delicious. And Breckenridge, Gil and I are very excited about this one.
Oh.
That 72 Imperial, that chocolate stout. They've got a barrel aged version coming out.
They said it 37 states, so I'm hopeful.
Yeah. So I don't know how they're going to barrel age and get it to 77 states or 72 states or whatever. 37 states. Yeah, that's a lot of states.
The same way New Holland does Dragon's Milk.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, bottle it up and shove it out. Dry Docks out of Aurora, Colorado, has got the 2014 Signature Series Bly's Barley Wine. Good People in Birmingham, Alabama, has got El Gordo's Russian Imperial Stout. Maybe there's another beer El Gordo out there, but I think that one's got.
No. I think we had it before. It's the kind of beer people go in line. I mean, I think there were line like in lunchtime already.
Yeah, Foothills has got another release of Jade, their IPA. It's coming out. This one's brewed with Pacific Jade hops and dry hop addition of Chinook and Citra. Boulevard's got Crown Town Ale. It's a big pale ale. It's a 7.3% pale ale.
Wow.
Okay.
That's for
an IPA.
For their baseball team that won something.
Oh, okay. All right, Kansas City. Maybe you've heard of them. Yeah. New Holland. Dragon's Milk Raspberry. Oh man, that's gonna need to find that. Any releases in Savannah or in the Georgia area that are worthy of noting, guys?
Well, you guys have probably already mentioned this. Prairie's on your list, but I mean, we just the Christmas bomb just showed up here. I'm sure you probably talked about that recently.
What's the Christmas bomb?
I haven't had it yet. You picked it up, right?
It's the regular bomb, but it's got nutmeg and cinnamon. It's brewed with that.
All right, that's.
I've never had the regular bomb, so.
I'm surprised I don't get more
delicious.
Georgia beer here. All I get is like Red Brick and Terrapin. What's
we all
up
get
with that?
Terrapin.
I like
Sweetwater's down
It's
there.
not our fault.
Hey, Sweetwater. What's up with that? Y'all need
Yeah,
to tell
she's like
me.
pissed at you. Lee
What's up
is
with that?
shaking at you.
Southbound's on draft there. I don't know.
We're getting an hour from Georgia. What's up with that?
All right, festivals. We've got Vancouver's Winterfest, Winter Brew Fest in Vancouver, Washington, this weekend. Great St. Louis Czech Beer Festival. That's in St. Louis, obviously, next on this weekend. High Brew Nation in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, this weekend. Santa Beer Crawl in Martinez, California, and then Brew Year's Eve in Chicago, and that's obviously December 31st. Festivals. Have you guys got parties going on there that you want to talk about?
Well, they released the music lineup for 420 Fest today up in that's Sweetwater.
Yeah. So that's coming up in April.
You got anything else, Lee?
No.
No, okay.
I'm not doing anything until the end of the year.
We're looking pretty far down the road.
Yeah.
Planning ahead for April.
All right.
Yeah, way down the road. Sorry.
Well, that's our allotment of time for tonight. Again, thanks to Lee and Raymond for hanging out with us, talking about their podcast. You can find us on craftbeernation.org. You can find them on brewdrinkrun.com. And you can find Simon Martin on Real Ale Craft something or other, Real Ales. Just look for Simon Martin on YouTube, and you'll be happy you did.
Real Ale Guide.
Real Ale Guide. That's what it is, Real Ale Guide. So, all right, guys, until next week. We are back next week with another guest. Can someone off the top of their head remember who it is? No. People. We've got another guest, though, next week. We've just been booking him so fast here lately, I can't remember.
Is that the...
Alaskan?
No, that's in January. Let's not focus on it too much. It might change between now and then. Since we can't remember who it is, they might be backing out.
We'll be back next week.
We'll be back next Thursday at 9:30. Until then, everybody, find some good friends. Maybe, I don't know, go for a run. Find some great beer and mind those P's and Q's.
This has been Pints and Quarts, brought to you by Craft Beer Nation. You can show your support for our podcast by subscribing to our content on YouTube, Stitcher, iTunes, or our website, craftbeernation.org. Thanks for listening.